Yo, what's going on, everybody? So I want to have a conversation with you guys about some of the stuff that I think that Boruto Naruto Next Generations is getting ready to pay off in regards to Urashiki, that goes all the way back to 2014 when Masashi Kishimoto was wrapping up the Naruto manga. And for anime onlys, I can say this is not going to be a spoiler video. I'm not spoiling anything, so if you're up to date on the Boruto anime, this video is completely safe for you guys to watch. So what I really want to talk to you guys about is something I've kind of talked about in the past, but I haven't really gone in depth over, which is what is Urashiki's role when it comes to the Sasuke clan. And I think that if you start going all the way back to volume 71, around chapter 686, chapter 687, I don't have my manga volume in front of me, but I can say this. There's a scene where when they're inside of Kaguya's dimension, you see a figure in the background, and in the background, if you just zoom in on that picture, the background figure, that silhouette, has the same design as Urashiki. And I find that extremely fascinating. I find that extremely fascinating that that's the case, because what you have to look at is the fact that while this chapter was coming out, Masashi Kishimoto was in the early stages with Kodachi of coming up with the idea and the concept for Naruto Boruto the movie. The movie wouldn't come out until 2015, but Naruto the Last, the Naruto novels, Naruto Gaiden, and what you got with Boruto the movie, all those were in the early stages of development, with Naruto the Last being in, I believe, post-production, because the movie would be coming out in fall of 2014. But what I love about this is the fact that Urashiki's design was already done at this point, and Masashi Kishimoto slipped it into chapter, I believe, 687, wherein you see Naruto and Sasuke, they're fighting in that dimension where Kaguya was about to kill Obito. And when that happens, you see Naruto feeding chakra into Obito's back, and in the background you see that figure there. And the reason why I think this is very important is we know that Urashiki was supposed to have a huge role in Naruto Boruto the movie, but it was scrapped due to time constraints because the movie was getting way too long. Well, ever since then, ever since we saw him in the Boruto anime, a lot of people said, well, what is his purpose? Like, he refers to Kinshiki as being superiors. Now, I've said for a while, I personally think that he's basically the scout for the Otsutsuki clan, or he's one of the scouts, where he goes to all these different dimensions and he's seeking out different worlds that have the potential to bear one of the god trees. And I don't think that it's a mistake that Urashiki is in the dimension that Kaguya is fighting against Naruto and Sasuke, or in one of those dimensions. And because she was focused on Naruto and Sasuke, explain why she didn't necessarily pick up on him. We know that Urashiki is a very crafty person. He's a very crafty person. I don't think that Kaguya, after being sealed away for so long, that she would have thought to be searching for Urashiki, Momoshiki, and Kinshiki. I don't think that's something she would have been thinking about, which would explain why he went under the radar. And this would also explain why all of a sudden Urashiki went from being inside of Kaguya's dimension to now knowing, while Momoshiki and Kinshiki are fighting against Sasuke, knowing that, okay, there are these humans that are on planet Earth. And that would explain why he just tracked it, because if you really think about it, that would explain why all of a sudden he knew to go to the moon, because Naruto's chakra was on the moon where he fought against Toneri, which would have happened 2 years after the fact. You could look at it from this perspective. He had his own duties to kind of hunt down chakra, but the fact that you had these beings that were fighting against Kaguya, doing very well against Kaguya, and all of a sudden they leave the dimension very quickly after the fact, Urashiki would have had to track those people down. And because Kaguya has so many different dimensions, it would explain why it took him a while. And so I really like that idea. I like the idea that this could be something that's revealed. Now, before someone says that's just a coincidence, I'll say this. The whole thing with Black Zetsu spying on Naruto and Sasuke when they're fighting against each other in the first Valley of the End fight, that was something that was set up way back then. Like, we saw that Zetsu had kind of popped up, but at the end of the fight, when Sasuke's looking up, he was aware of a presence. Like, Kishimoto has done things like this in the past, where he's put things in the background and he pays it off much later in the story. He pays off at a much later point. So I mean, I do think this is something that could kind of bear fruit. And given the fact that we have an arc that deals with Urashiki, Urashiki, this is something we have to kind of at least acknowledge as a possibility. But I want to know from you guys, what are your thoughts about Urashiki actually being in that dimension? And do you think that I'm right? Do you think that he is the scout for the Otsutsuki clan, and that there are more versions of Urashiki and all of these other variations of the clan whose sole purpose is to go and to seek out the different worlds that have the potential to bear the fruit of the god tree, and then report it to someone like a Momoshiki to where they can go and harvest it? But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.